Every successful operation depended on horsepower, fast engines, skilled mechanics, trusted drivers. Investigators repeatedly encountered many of the same names in both liquor investigations and automobile theft investigations. Among them was Cliff Park, A.D. Allen, and others whose name would later become associated with what law enforcement describes as the Dixie Mafia. Automobile theft wasn't something simply about stealing transportation. It was about building machines capable of outrunning the law. Engines were rebuilt, frames reinforced, weight stripped away, suspensions modified. Drivers memorized every back road, every creek crossing, and every shortcut across North Georgia. Long before Richard Petty, before Dale Earnhardt Sr., before Jeff Gordon, before Atlanta Motor Speedway ever opened its gates, the race had already begun. Only these drivers weren't racing for trophies. They were racing to stay out of jail. Many historians credit Southern Moonshine runners with helping to lay a foundation of what eventually became NASCAR racing. In North Georgia, horsepower wasn't entertainment, it was survival. And as profits grew, so did the influence. By the early 1960s, investigators increasingly believed they were no longer chasing isolated bootleggers. They believed they were confronting an organized criminal network. One of the first major cracks appeared in 1963. Jackson County Sheriff John Brooks was investigated, indicted, and later convicted on corruption related charges connected to automobile theft investigations. For many investigators, the conviction represented more than the fall of one sheriff. It raised difficult questions about whether organized crime had established relationships inside of parts of local government. After Brooks left office, L.G. Snuffy Perry became sheriff. The controversy, however, didn't leave with Brooks. It only intensified. Then came Floyd Hoard. Unlike many prosecutors before him, Hoard refused to ignore what investigators believe had been operating in plain sight for years. Working alongside the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Hoard quietly assembled one of the largest liquor cases Jackson County had ever seen. The investigation had grown so significant that Governor issued an executive order authorizing the GBI to investigate in Jackson County without first obtaining approval from local sheriffs. It was an extraordinary step, one that reflected the level of concern state officials had about conditions inside the county at the time. As investigators closed in, they planned a major raid targeting Cliff Park's liquor operations. According to later testimony and historical accounts, authorities believe someone tipped Park off before the raid could take place. Investigators reported seeing alcohol being moved. Holt responded immediately. The raid was moved up. When officers arrived, they seized more than 2,000 cases of beer, dozens of cases of whiskey, and contraband valued at more than $21,000 in 1967. Park and several employees were arrested. Court orders were issued to padlock the properties. Guilty pleas were entered. Thousands of dollars in fines were paid by Park, yet the padlock order was never carried out before Hoard's death. Court opinions later noted there was no evidence explaining why. As the investigation widened, another public official name came under scrutiny. Sheriff Snuffy Perry was removed from the Hoard investigation. A grand jury later accused Perry of conspiring with Park bootlegging operation and tipping him off before the 1967 raid. Following the Hoard murder trials, Perry was indicted on multiple charges. At trial, witnesses testified Perry allegedly acted as a go-between in arranging for Park to purchase beer from the Negro American Legion post number 553 in Commerce, Georgia. Perry denied the allegations and was ultimately acquitted. But by then, Floyd Hoard had already begun asking questions that reached far beyond whiskey. Who was protecting these operations? How did they survive for decades? Who benefited? And how far did the network actually reach? He intended on continue presenting evidence to the grand jury. He intended to continue shutting down illegal liquor operations. He intended to keep digging, but he never got the chance. On the morning of August 7th, 1967, Floyd Hoard walked towards his car, opened the driver's door, turned the key, and a boom hitting beneath the vehicle exploded. In an instant, a liquor investigation became one of the most infamous murder cases in Georgia history. The bomb had exploded, the manhunt was underway, and more than 100 miles away in Johnson County, Georgia, a small sheriff's office was about to find itself at the center of a case that would capture the attention of the entire state.